Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining today's webinar. We are very excited to have the opportunity to share with you today the information in this presentation, which is titled New Products Review. My name is Eric Rice, and I am the moderator for today. This webinar is part of a series that we are offering over the next several weeks. If you have not already checked out the lineup of upcoming webinar topics, I encourage you to do so by visiting our website, appliedmotion.com, where you'll find a banner right on the homepage. Questions about today's presentation are very welcome, and there will be time at the end to answer your questions. You can submit questions using the webinar control panel. Today's presenter is Leo Liu. Leo is a graduate of the University of Melbourne in Australia, where he got a degree in electronics, and he then received his MBA in 2013 from Monash University, also in Melbourne. Leo joined Moons Industries that same year. He gained experience in R&D, engineering, product management, and marketing. He then moved to the US in 2015 to join Applied Motion Products, where he has focused his attention on key business areas such as marketing, sales, and engineering. Leo currently serves a dual role within Applied Motion Products. He leads our application engineering team in assisting our customers and channel partners, as well as contributing to the product management group in launching new products. And with that, I will turn everything over to Leo for the presentation. Leo, it's all yours.
Hi, everyone. It's my honor to speak with you guys about Applied Motion product. Hopefully everyone is having some good time at home or maybe at work. And let's get it started. So a little bit about Applied Motion product. So Applied Motion product, in general speaking, will provide three types of products: stepper motors and stepper drives, StepSERVO, and also SERVO Series. And we have product in the form of separate system with the drive and the motor, and as well as the integrated package where motor, drive, encoder are in the same package for different kind of applications. Applied Motion is involved in all kind of industrial applications, including medical, lab automation, factory automation, robotics, and so on. So a couple of the key features or technology from Applied Motion product. We design our own drives with micro stepping control for the open loop stepper motors, as well as StepSERVO. That's a new technology from a couple of years ago, which is a full closed loop stepper motor control for enhanced positioning and current loop and even torque mode. And closed loop servo is also a product from us, which is we have in both AC and DC kind of control mode. Again, both in separate mode and the integrated package. Multiple control modes is allowed from all our product lines, including I/O, step and direction, velocity control, analog positioning, analog velocity control. Streaming command over any kind of field bus is actually allowed. And also we have a unique feature called a Q program where you can actually store the motion profile inside your drive to perform certain functions. And below are the to-the-bus options that we provide for most of our product lines, including serial communication such as 232, 485, Modbus RTUs, Modbus TCP, Ethernet, and Ethernet IP is a very big product line from us. We have that widely available on pretty much all the products. Can open and also EtherCAT as a newer side of the communication through the bus option. Okay, so often I get a question from our customers or from anyone is trying to use our product. How do I know which product series I need? So this is a pretty generic way of thinking about these three product lines. Stepper and the StepSERVO are stepper-based products, so they tend to work great at the lower speed range. whereas the servo product is for higher speed or for more consistent torque across the board control. So stepper open loop type is cheaper on the price, and it's very good for low speed and where positioning is not critical for the application. As you can see, at a lower speed, the green line is actually higher than even the high-end servos. So for this region, if you try to have a small package with a lot more torque, that's actually a good option for you there. StepSERVO series, it's kind of a middle cost and works a lot better than the stepper motors. And in the later slide, I will introduce more about that technology. Basically, it helps on the heating, helps on energy consumption, and it's a closed loop system. And the servo, it's higher price. It's very uniform with the torque output. So if you have a system where you need torque across the board of speed ranges, that's definitely the solution to go. So starting with the stepper series, STR and ST is the offering that we have for the long generations, and the STR is the lower cost version where it's doing the input step and direction pulse kind of control, and we have micro stepping on top with 20,000 steps per revolution, and both AC input and DC options are allowed. ST drives, that includes a little bit more features such as encoder feedback for stall detections and preventions. Multiple control options is allowed. Field bus options such as RS-485 can open Ethernet. It also have features for analog inputs, encoder fall-ins, and again, both AC and the DC options is available. And for us, being a motor company for the longest time, we have full range of compatible motors from NEMA size 8 all the way up to NEMA size 34. This is the integrated version of the ST and the STRs. And basically the drive is actually packaged on the backside of the motor. And you have connectors for the power, for the IO, or for the communication if it's needed. And SWM24 is what we consider as the M12 version. So as for the IP65 version, sorry, and they can survive in a more harsh environment where there's dust or certain amount of water involved. And STF drive is a new series from us. So this one is supports more field bus options, such as the newer generation EtherCAT and Ethernet IP. We recently launched the 2.0 version where it's a more enhanced features, allow you to use the AOIs and more input and output assembly features. And the software is also a new platform called STF Configurator, and all the previous functions that's allowed by the ST and STR drive are pretty much covered, apart from the encoder input function, which I can talk about another product. So a couple of new things on the STF drive. The software platform is very uniform with our new product lines like the StepSERVOs or the servos. So that's an upgrade from the existing ST configurator platform. It's a lot more user-friendly. On the field bus side, we did a lot of enhancement on the performance, such as on-bus configurations and the field bus upgrades. The field bus allowing to upgrade the firmwares and the configuration instead of you have to configure the drive in our own software. So that leads to a lot of production efficiency. And also we did a little bit enhancement on the circuitry side where noise isolation is a lot better than the previous series. And in addition, dual port communication is allowed it on all the models, including the Ethernet and EtherCAT and all those models. So if you think about wiring perspective, it will become a lot easier where you can just daisy chain the drives and they will talk to each other. The size is actually almost about half compared to our ST previous ST drives. So that's also a improvement. And on the network side, we also have real-time motor open winding detections. So if anything goes wrong on your motor side, the drive will actually stop the motor running or stop it going crazy. And the communication loss detection, just in case if there's something happen on your communication network bus. So that's some of the safety features we included on this new product line. And also the pricing is even more competitive than our previous versions. So StepSERVO. StepSERVO is an enhanced technology where we use a servo control algorithm to close the loop on stepper motor control. As you can see, there's a PID servo control loop in between the power input and also the output rotary side. So what's the benefit? So it draws less current because it's only supplying the current that is needed to turn the motor and to produce the exact amount of torque that's needed by your load. So if you run into anything with like a battery system or anything, you need a motor to be a little bit cooler or quieter. Because of the less current consumption from the step motors, it will actually do all those features. And also it is faster because it have the performance of allowing a short 1 second boost current supply into the motor to give that little kick on the stepper motor to allow the motor go a little bit faster on the acceleration or just to achieve a higher speed in a quicker time. So in a real-time application, it will make your motion profile go a lot faster and a lot efficient. And also it's less power consumption from your power supply if you're using a battery management system. So TSM and the TXM Integrated StepSERVOs are the product we're already in offering. So looks very similar to the stepper lines, but these ones actually have higher performance. And we have both IP20s and IP60 versions available. The size go as small as NEMA size 11, all the way up to the size 34. And all the control options are pretty much available, as well as all the Q program functions. So this year, we introduced a new feature called the X generation. So the X generation, compared to the old one, we put on the daisy chain Ethernet capability, where the previous version, you only have one Ethernet port on top. So again, it helps you to create more capability in terms of wiring and allowing even less cabling issues or less switch port is needed for the drive. And also, as a bigger point, we introduced the true count absolute multi-turn encoder. This encoder doesn't require battery. It have 20,000 single turn counts and 16,000 multi-turn counts. So basically, if you shut down the power and you move the shaft and you turn back on the drive, it will know exactly where it is and just keeps going. So pretty much you don't need to do any homing routines unless there's some mechanical changes made or some kind of accidents happen, right? So it saves your cost on the system in terms of reducing sensors, and saves reduce the risk of failing, and it's just a quicker turnaround for your next production cycle. So currently we have the IP models, which is Ethernet and Ethernet IP communication, and also the RS485 communication available. And other options we can, if you make a request, and we can make that happen. POE14, this is also a very exciting product from us because it's an ultimate one cable solution. Basically, you have one Ethernet cable goes into the drive for both power and the communication. It's pretty widely compatible with any Ethernet cable above Cat5 grade, and it's also pretty available with all the PoE switches on the market already. So imagine you have an end factor or anywhere you're already using a POE camera or POE type of device. This is just an additional feature where now you can just turn them around or do a rotational or linear type of motion with the same POE cable or the same switch. So it provides a lot of convenience and flexibility for your system. And obviously it's going through Ethernet. So Ethernet, Ethernet IP, and the Modbus TCP are all available. We have two variations on the product. One is the RJ45 connector, and the other one is actually using an industrial M12 connector for more enhanced features in terms of having more protection on your connection. And we're also offering the PH gearhead, which is a small size gearhead to go onto the top of the motor if you need more torque performance out of the motor. And size 17 and the 23 are in the work right now. We try to expand the product line into bigger sizes for more widely used applications. SSDC is a separate system for the Stepper and StepSERVO series, and that's something we introduced this year. Basically, it's a separate package of a drive and motor, just like our ST and STR series, where you allow to have more flexibilities in terms of wiring options or selection options between your communication and also the motor. And also you will have more expanded I/O options and allowing something like a secondary encoder input for full closed loops options. So in terms of field bus, we offer EtherCAT, Ethernet IP, Modbus, CAN open, anything that's widely used in industrial field. And the StepSERVO motors, these are the motors to be compatible with the SSDC drive. Again, it goes from the size NEMA 11 all the way up to size 34, and the torque range is pretty wide, from 0.6 Newton meters all the way to up to like 8 Newton meters. And the stack length is also very flexible. We have longer ones, shorter ones, depends on what kind of mounting system you try to have. Encoder options, this is something kind of a little bit more unique towards the separate line, is we can have magnetic encoders on pretty much all the models for cost reduction purpose, or we can put on the absolute encoder for the high precision or multi-term purpose. And also we can incorporate the integrated brake onto these motors for any kind of vertical axis or where safety is needed when the power is at a shutdown. Okay, SERVO is another bigger series of product we're offering. Like I previously said, the SERVO is for high consistent torque at a very wide speed range, and the peak torque is also something offered by the SERVO motors. So Applied Motion in general have 3 lines of SERVO product: the AC servo lines, and for the high voltage, very similar to other products in the market. And we have the DC servo line, which is a low bus voltage but very high current servo lines. And also the integrated package MDX, which we introduced in late 2019. From the motor side, we have size range from 100 watts all the way up to 750 watts. AC servos, so we have supply voltage for both 120 volts and also 220 volts on the AC power line. STO is one of the safety functions we offer. UL certification is also allowed, and multiple communication options such as Modbus, Ethernet, all those ones are available on this product line. So auto tuning is also a feature we have on this product, so to help you to tune to your specific system. DC servos. So the reason for DC servos is mainly anything with human interface where high voltage it's not allowed, such as some of the medical devices. Or let's say in another case is something operated by a battery. In recent years, we've been running into a lot of applications such as AGV or robotics, where they are moving around and they just don't have a way to have a high voltage wiring going somewhere. So the SV200 DC series is exactly designed for that. And we have motors available from 100 watts all the way up to 750 watts on the power level. And so here are some of the new motors we introduced for this particular purpose. As you can see, we have the J200, which is 10 amp continuous and 30 amps peak. And it allows the very wide speed range from up to like 3,000 RPM and the peak speed up to 6,000 RPM. And as well as for the 400 watts, we have a 12 amp winding and 30 amp peak for the torque for the current. And the peak torque is 11.3 inch-pounds, and the peak torque is 3 times higher than that. And on the largest size, we have the 750 watts with a 20 amp continuous current input and 60 amp peak torque current input. And that actually gives you a lot of capability in terms of driving something with a battery system or with a human interface like I previously talked about. So it's relatively unique for the market, and that they are based on a 24 volts and a 48 volts winding, because most of the batteries in the market are operated under those two conditions. MDX Integrated Servo. So this is a very exciting product for us because, as you can see, the package is very small. Just imagine this whole drive on the previous slide are all packaged into this small little size motor here. So it's very high power density. It offers pretty much the same amount of torque and function as the previous slide. And you know, for similar applications, and we have a very big interest in this product line. In the marketplace right now, most people have something similar, but they often offers about 2 times of the peak current torque, where our motor actually allows 3 times of the peak, and we actually be able to manage the temperature rise under control. So you can have a very full or even 100% duty cycle on these motors. A little bit more on the features. So like I talked in the previous slides, the rated torque and the peak torque is very high. These are also the 10 amp and the 12 amp winding, like I talked about on the previous slide for the DC series. They are 60 millimeter frame size, and we offer both IP20 and IP65 version for these products. So you have relatively wide selection range, and we also have gear options available on these servo motors. So a little bit more about the customization. So with the servo motors, it's a lot of the application does not use the full duty cycle or does not use the full peak power, where we can actually help you guys to decrease the size of the heat sink to create more space for your application or for your assembly. And in addition to that, we can also reduce the gear flange between the motor and the gear side to even reduce to create even more space for your application. And that becomes pretty critical if you think about a more working space, especially if you try to use a battery and they have to move around in the warehouse, such as like a AGV or in a pharmaceutical type of environment. So linear product line, this is also a new and exciting product for us. So on the previous StepSERVO and the stepper product we just talked about, we can actually help you to put a ball screw or a lead screw on top, and that kind of reduce the coupling and reduce the whole length of the product and reduce the amount of variation that you actually need to think about. So this is brand new from us, and it's actually already gathered a lot of interest. And in addition to that, we also have the mini linear actuator series, as you can see from the picture below. And they're called the MLA MCB series. And the very first one is a NEMA size 8 motor. So it's very, very compact, and it's actually very high accuracy for the application. So if you have any interest, feel free to contact us on this product, and we can support you. Other customization we did. So last year we introduced a Haslock motor. This is a I think this might be not many options in the market right now for Zone 1, Division 1 Haslock location motor and drive package. And both of these products are certified for pretty much everywhere around the globe to use, as we listed it below here. UL, ATEX, IEC, and it's a perfect product for oil, gas, mining, and even alcohol producing industries. Other customization we do all different kind of connection types for your drive. We can change the pin assessments. We can change the connector type if it's needed. We do a lot of motor modifications like the shaft, the mountings, the connection style, anything you can think of basically. And then we do integration with encoders, gears, brakes, all those things on motor as well. On the drive side, we can customize the firmware according to your usage. We can customize the configuration, or even download the program for you before we ship the product for any kind of your production use. So that's awesome. All the things we can talk about, and we can customize for you based on your application need. Finally, Applied Motion have a great website. Eric does a great job on maintaining them. It's www.appliedmotion.com. So we have an online store there for quick sampling purpose. So you can place an order with your credit card. You can buy a drive. And we have all the technical features allowed on the website in terms of product information, software, firmware download utilities. You know, you can compare our products on the website, and we can even help you to build your systems based on your need. So after all, we have regional sales managers across the whole country. We have application engineers on both West Coast and East Coast side. So we are always available for your time zone. Thank you. Thank you. So I will switch back to Eric.
Okay, Leo, thank you. That was great. It was a nice overview of all the products, or most of the products that have been introduced recently, as well as some products that have yet to come. If I didn't mention already, you know, this webinar is an overview, as Leo has just presented. Although you got a lot of great detail in there, Leo, a lot more than I knew you were going to get, which was excellent. The webinars that are coming up, the next one will be in 2 weeks. That is diving into these subsequent webinars will be diving into certain product lines in more detail. So in 2 weeks, on May 7th will be our next webinar. That will be covering the True Count encoders, which is the multi-turn absolute encoder. And so with that, we'll jump into some questions. We've got a few here and we've got a few minutes left. Actually, we're getting close on time, so we'll try and get through these. So the first question that came in was actually related to the absolute encoder. So Leo, a couple of people have asked about whether or not the absolute encoders require a battery.
So the True Count absolute encoder does not require battery, and it's actually using a mechanical mechanism inside where it will just energize the the encoder to record a count as you're rotating the shaft. So basically, even if you just rotate the shaft by hand, it will actually do a recount on the encoder, because of the internal mechanism just allow that a little bit power to register that one rev of an encoder. So for your end application, you don't need a battery, and it's not going to die when the battery dies.
Great, great. Thanks, Leo. And just as a reminder, we'll be talking more about that encoder in a couple of weeks. Next question that came in was, does Applied Motion Products have any plans to introduce drives with Profinet communications?
So I would say yes, because currently we already have Profinet customized solution. So it's based on our Ethernet product, and we can customize that into the Profinet communication option. In long run, we're actually planning to release a line of product with Profinet. But currently, if you have application with Profinet, we can always talk about it, and most likely we will be able to support them.
Great. So if I understood you correct, Leo, we actually are shipping product today with Profinet communications on board.
Yes, yes, with
Great.
custom options. Yeah.
Custom, as a custom. Yeah. Okay, cool. One question here, is there a tool that allows us to select what type of motor we need according to our application? So to rephrase that maybe a little bit, how would a customer of ours go about choosing the best motor type for their application?
Okay, so so it really depends on which end you try to start. So typical applications, we have people starting with try to choose a motor for your torque performance, and what kind of speed range you go. And one of the slide, the previous slide I showed is actually a way of selecting a product based on your torque need. Let me just find that quickly. This slide, so if you have a low speed, you gotta go for stepper, and if you need some more closed loop functionality, StepSERVO, and for high speed application, you go on to the servos. And then on our website, you can use the filter tool, and that can actually help you to dive into more details, like what kind of frame size I can use, what kind of motor length I'm allowed on my physical system. And also you can choose like a torque, like a torque limit value, saying, hey, this is actually where I want it to be running at. And then that will really help on your application. And then the third layer is, how do I want to control this motor? Do I have an input somewhere, or do I want this motor to run by itself, or do I want that go on to a field bus option? So we, on our Applied Motion website, you can do that. And I believe in future, Eric, we are going to implement a configuration tool for our customers, right?
That is one of our goals. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. The other thing I might point out is that our application engineers have sizing software. So if you aren't sure about your torque requirements, you can contact us, and our apps engineers can help you with that.
Yeah,
actually figure out.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a great catch. So yeah, we have that tool.
Okay.
As well.
Okay, good. So we're coming up on 5 minutes over time. I think we've got time for one more question. Let's see. Let me point out, everybody that's sending in their questions, there's a lot of good ones here. I'm sorry if we can't get to yours right now. So what we will do is after the webinar, we'll follow up with everyone via email and make sure we get all questions answered. Last one here is, are the StepSERVO motors in the SSDC, are those available in IP65?
So IP65 on the drive is not. IP65 on the motor, I think we have a capability of doing that. So if you have an application, again, we can talk about it, and I will need to check on the motor size. Like for the smaller size NEMA 11, it will be a lot more difficult than, let's say, size 23, 24, or 34 even, right, where we already have an IP65 motor available. So that would be my answer.
Great. Okay. So the SSDC specifically is separate motor and drive. So
Yeah.
if you really wanted StepSERVO and IP65, do we have a solution for that?
Yeah, I mean, we have the integrated product, and this features, this is also available right now for IP65, where you actually get enclosed on both drive and motor side as an option.
Perfect. Great. That's excellent. That's all we have time for today. Thank you, everyone, and Leo, for your presentation today, and thank you, everyone, for attending. Like I said, any questions that did not get answered live, we will follow up via email. Please check our website for new webinar topics. The next one's in 2 weeks. Thank you again, everyone, and have an excellent rest of your day.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you, everyone, for attending.